Thank you very much. Hi, everyone. I'm so glad to be here sharing this stage with wonderful professional people. Thank you, Celia, for having me, and Plain Image, of course, for the vote of confidence. My name is Dori Adar, and I run a small operation in Israel. It's called Hands On Games, and we are a gaming school. We teach people how to design games, and we are also a gaming studio. We make mainly political and educational games, but we also have families to provide to, so we make also playable ads. Now, this idea for a talk came to me, how decisions affect play experience, roughly 8 months ago during game night. Any board game players here? Oh my God, welcome to Europe. This is amazing. So isn't it the best night of the week? I mean, this is where friends come in and you drink and you play games all night. And in this specific night, this specific wonderful person, she's my girlfriend, and she was pregnant at the time, 9 months in. A fact that we did our best to completely deny. We did not want to think about the consequences of her being pregnant, second time. So that's why around 11 o'clock at night, when she began to complain of recurring pains, of course, we thought it was because she was way behind in the game. She was terribly losing. And this was just an excuse. No, it was not. 10 minutes after, we understood that this shit is happening. Now, because we did our best to deny the fact that she is going to have birth, we didn't prepare anything. You need to come with a bag to the hospital. For example, you need to bring pistachios. I don't know. You need to do stuff beforehand. So the next 10 minutes could be described as two headless chickens running around not knowing what to do. Okay, what do we take first? What do we do with the sleeping kit? At some point, I remember that I decided for some reason I have to put a plastic bag on the big trash can, but the plastic bag was too small and I was struggling with it for 5 minutes. And then I raised my head, and this is what I see. I'll play this for you. Let's hope YouTube will, yes. Cross fingers, fingers crossed. We see a loading sign. We'll give it like 2 more seconds. Yes, yes, I can see the bar. Anybody from Google here? So these are my friends, and while the magic of creation happening in the background, they are playing Clash Royale. Now, the contrast of us trying to decide and cannot decide of anything, and these people was very evident to me. They were deciding on things, they were getting shit done, a decision after decision, they were rocking it. Because, you know, games require users to constantly take decisions, and these decisions, the decision weight and frequency, really define user experience. And we all know that as gamers. Yes, welcome, please sit down. We've just began. We all know that as gamers and as game designers, but we often overlook this very simple pattern. The decision weight and the decision frequency really define user experience, and this is the topic of today. And to help me understand decision better from a technical point of view, I've created a model that I'm going to share with you today. The model is called TIMT, the Interaction Mapping Tool, and it's a 2-axis model. On the y-axis, we have the decision's weight. How many people here have started to play this game right now? Great, leave your hands up. Of these people, how many people were aware of the decision to start playing? Not really. You didn't decide, ooh, here's a puzzle, let's solve it. You just did it automatically. Okay? This was an automatic decision. Many decisions in our lives are automatic, like habits, like walking, talking, chewing a gum. We have to do this, otherwise we couldn't have function. We have binary decision, flit or flee, first impression. Okay, these are all automatic decisions. And by the way, in case you were wondering, And here is another one. Okay. Now, how many people here were aware of the decision not to solve this equation? You said, okay, this is too much. This is not a Swift conference here. We're designers. No, I'm kidding, but this action, this calculation, albeit not very complicated, it requires brain power. And our brains are very economic in the sense that if we can avoid spending energy, we would rather do so. So this type of decision I would call hard decisions. And hard decisions are every decision that make us think, not act automatically, by the way. I know that you were wondering. So this is the y-axis, and it ranges from automatic decisions to hard decisions. And if you will take a game like chess, of course it would score high, because chess is a game of complicated, hard decisions, a lot of calculations, foresight, and so on. A game like Bejeweled Blitz would, of course, take the lower end, because it's a pattern recognition game, match 3, it's very, very fast. So this is the y-axis. The x-axis is the interaction frequency. Why is this happening? Go away. Anybody from Google? No. Exit? No. Oh, where is Lisa with the magical tools? Okay, here we are. Okay, great. So we have the x-axis is the interaction frequency. Is this game slow or fast? How interactive is this game? So, of course, chess is not a very interactive. I mean, it is, but it takes a long time. I watched a tournament of speed chess. 4 hours. This is speed chess. Bejeweled is 60 seconds round, right? 60 seconds, it's fairly fast. It's very interactive. A lot of automatic decisions. So, the decisions, weight, and frequency define user experience. I'm going to repeat this because this is what I want you to get from this experience, the talk. I've divided the model to 4 different quadrants. So the first would be slow-paced, hard-thinking quadrant. So what kind of experiences and games we can see in this quadrant? Well, a lot of board games, of course, turn-based games like poker, for example. Now, just because the pace is slow, it doesn't mean that the experience is laid back. No, au contraire. I studied French for 6 years. This is what I know. So, poker, for example, if we take an analogy from machines, this would be your brain, right? You will be focused on one task, almost 100%. Is this person bluffing? This is an intense experience. This is me playing poker. You want to play with me poker. Okay, so it is a very intense experience, very intense. So let's go to the second quadrant, which is the fast and hard thinking quadrant. Can you think of games that bestow a lot of decisions at you and you have to act very, very fast? What type of games in there? So I would like to try a game with you right now, if you will. You all know the game rock, paper, scissors, right? You know it. So let's play a variant, and I'll try to make it harder on you. So you'll be playing in couples, okay? So divide somewhere in couples. And when I will say the cue, which is en de trois, this is what we say in Hebrew, and again, it's a little bit of French. When I'll say the cue, you will take both hands from out of your back. If you win a match of one of your hands, put it over your opponents, and if they're a tie, the first one to put the hand above the other one wins that match. We will try this 3 times, okay? So being groups, okay. Well, you can play. Are you ready? 2 hands. And the trois. Okay, let's try it again. And the true. Okay, last time. And the true. Okay, great. This is the sound I love to hear when I talk. This is learning happening. So, what can we learn from this experiment? If you would have played this game a little bit more, you would have internalized the movement, because now it's really strange. So you've been playing this game for years differently, and now I suggest as a variant, so you don't really know what to do. But if you were practicing and repeating this, this would become a skill of yours. Your hard decisions will become automatic decisions. Here goes to say which type of games go in this second quadrant. Well, I don't know if you know these brain games like Lumosity or Elevate. These are games that aim to train you, keep your brain sharp. So if you played these games, if you played Lumosity, you know that the play experience is not pleasant. I mean, after doing a few Lumosity exercises, your head physically aches. So bear in mind that to craft experiences in this quadrant, you need motivated players, like I don't want to get dementia players. Okay? So bear this in mind. Let's continue to the fast and automatic thinking. This is where most digital games live. Okay? Hyper-casual game like this amazing Tomb of the Mask game. These are, or like Clash Royale, these are decision after decision after decision, a very much feedback-saturated experience, flow experience. We really get drawn into this. And taking from the analogy from before, it would be a lot of small decisions lined right after the other, and it's usually binary. Tap or not, left or right, jump when, shoot, yes or no. These are really, repeating these actions gets us into flow. So I wonder, what goes into the automatic and slow quadrant? Any ideas? The prime example would be slot machines. When the interaction is so slow or so low, it's really like watching TV but slightly different. Usually players playing slot machines, they have only one decision to make, another spin. And like 1% of their brains, and the other 90% says yes, yes. And actually, a few years ago, some or probably maybe all of the slot machine app included this big button called auto spin. So you don't even have to bother about spinning. However, oh, by the way, if you know Facebook or Instagram, it's kind of like the same, right? You scroll across the feed, and then you stop, and then you scroll. But anyway, what is the hard decision that players in the segment do have to make when the machine stops working? And they need to add more coins to actually continue playing. And if you are a player addicted to slot machines, all you want in life is now for this pop-up to go away. So this is how they make money. When these quadrants clash into each other abruptly, like so, this is not a very pleasant experience for the player. However, this doesn't mean that games should have only one quadrant. Au contraire. Let's think about a game like Clash Royale, a game that I was fairly addicted to. Clash Royale probably lives somewhere in the fast and automatic thinking. This is the core experience. However, the whole idea of deck building in Clash Royale, this is something that you can flesh out for months and watch YouTube videos and try different things. So Clash Royale, which is a PvP card-playing game basically, is really deep because it has these two quadrants in play. So whenever I try to make an experience richer, I try to identify where is the core experience and what can I do to maybe add another quadrant to it. So let's see a few uses of this model. First, we're going to talk about inspiration and creativity a little bit. So let's play a little game. Who here knows Diablo? Okay, it's a dungeon crawler game. Let's see, I will do with this with the laser, and you will clap your hands where you think Diablo is supposed to be in my model, okay? Okay, you got it, you got it, you got it. I see a lot of child plays, and that's what they do all the time. Anyway, Diablo is probably here. And my, let's say, mental exercise for you is, what would have happened if we drag this experience all the way to the left? What do we need to do? What do we need to reduce from the experience? So we may come up with something like Non-Stop Night, which is, again, a dungeon crawler game. However, the computer or your device does all the fighting for you. So you don't have to fight anymore. Isn't it great? This is an idle game. And the whole idle game movement, which I love, is really taking experiences from the right quadrant, the third, to the fourth quadrant. What would happen if we take an idle game like Non-Stop Night and shove it up to the first quadrant? Maybe we can have an idle game with moral questions. Maybe we can have a game with a lot of empathy towards the characters. I mean, there's a lot of possibilities. Who knows Firewatch? Yes, this is my crowd. So where is Firewatch? Let's do the clapping thing again. Firewatch is a walking simulator. Yes, that's great, because this is where I put it. It's around here. It's a walking simulator, not so interactive, but you do have some things to do every now and then in Firewatch. I really love this game. What would happen if you drag it all the way to the fast and hard thinking? Now this gets interesting, because you may want to take something that is very automatic and make it manual, make it a hard thinking mechanic. Like, for example, Octodad. Octodad is a game where you play an octopus and you have to actually control each of his 8 tentacles with your controller. So walking is hard. This is interesting. Manual Samuel. Anybody knows this title? Okay, I really recommend it. It's basically you have to control Samuel manually. Up to the point you have to press the right trigger to blink the eyes so they won't dry out. And you have to breathe with the left trigger. And here in this scene, you have to drive a manual car, which makes the whole thing that we usually take for granted very, very hard and not automatic. Okay, so what happens when you move experiences around the model? This is a question I ask my students, and they come up with hilarious things, so maybe it can inspire you as well. Now, using the model part 2, I will show you a couple of my works, and I'll tell you how I used this model while crafting experiences. So the first experience is called Katomolo. This is a game about recycling. I was very impressed to see all the different bins you have there. Of course, I didn't know what goes in. We in Israel, we are Neanderthals. We just don't do recycling very well. And this is actually a real problem. Only 15% of what could be recycled is recycled. And out of this 15%, only 30% is sorted correctly. So Tamir, the recycling company of Israel, approached us and wanted us to make a game that would address one of these problems. And they had only 2 limitations. A, do not exceed budget. B, use the cat. So with this in mind, we took the model and tried to figure out where the hell do we put the cat in. So it could be fast and automatic thinking, like a game and maybe a platformer, and the cat would run, and everybody would like it because it's a fast and automatic game. And then between levels, we would ask them a recycling question. This kind of sucks, right? So maybe we will do a slow and hard thinking game where we would try to stress out the importance of recycling. But giving the first limitation, the budget, we could not do it. So what can we do? We would use the second quadrant, the fast and hard thinking, and try to tell people, to explain them, to teach them what goes into each bin. And this is what we've done. At first, we tried to incorporate all bins, so packages would fall down like a Tetris game from the sky, and you would have to choose in which bin they should go to. We tried it on playtesters, didn't work. Too many options. We needed to focus on one binary question, which is what goes in the orange bin. Now a lot of things goes in the orange bin, seriously. And this was basically the game, if it goes in or not. And as players got better in the game, the decisions become automatic. We measure the reaction time, and if the reaction time was below a certain threshold, we introduced another category. and then another category until we unveiled something like 80 packages, different packages. Now, what about motivations, you ask? Why people would play this game when they have Fortnite? Good question. We tried our best to motivate players. This cat is actually famous in Israel. We had a top comedian in Israel dubbing him. Most of the budget went to the comedian. Isn't this funny or ironic? I don't know. I'm not a comedian. Anyway, so the comedian took the better half of the budget, but the cat was funny. The game started immediately, so players didn't have to read long text like they usually have in these education softwares. And also, we've included the leaderboard, but you could not see the leaderboard only after you have completed and sorted 60 packages. And this proved as a big motivator to our playtesters. And eventually, some people really took the game to heart. To score this score, which is, I don't know how to read it in English even, 2, 3, 4, 4, 9, you have to play in the game 9 hours straight. Now, seriously. This is a true score. I don't think it's really good design if people play so much, but for one thing is certain, Mr. Shimon Sudri knows what goes in the orange bin. Eventually, some real-world results, game results were over 500,000 in stores. It's about 6% of Israel's population. 10 million virtual packages sorted, and 3% improvement of real-life orange bin sorting. So we did have seen impact with this game, which is great. The other case study, and the last for today, is GoCube. GoCube is a magical Rubik's Cube that talks with your device via Bluetooth. And the device knows at any given time what is the state of your cube. So it opens a range of possibilities, like having competition between cubers. We can teach people how to cube, and so on and so forth. So I did the UX design and gameplay for this application. So anybody here knows how to solve a cube? A few. For those who don't and want to learn, if you would go to YouTube, if it will work, you will be expecting an experience of around 4 hours, not because it's so complicated, rather it's confusing. One turn you've missed and that's it. You'll have to start from the top, okay? So if you think learning is hard, teaching how to cube via a digital app is way harder. This is really the hardest design I've made in my life, and playtesting is, oh my God, sit with somebody for 4 hours now. And not speak, right? Because you're not supposed to speak. So this has been really a daunting experience. And we have found out that if we want to teach people how to solve the cube, they have to know one thing very, very good, which is notations. Notations are the language of the cube. If I want you to do something, I will tell you in this language. So let's try it together. Please hold a virtual cube in front of you. Please do it, please. Thank you. Now, you see the letter U. U is turning the upper face clockwise. Please do so. Great. Now, right is turning the right face clockwise. Please do so. Left is turning the left face clockwise. Please do so. If you have made this maneuver from the body outside, that's not clockwise. And you will know it if you turn the cube like this, okay? Okay, it's the other way around. And this is the thing about notations. They look easy, but they are actually quite confusing. And when people go lost in our tutorial, we present them like an undo, repeat these steps, and they go completely lost. So how to make them internalize notations? So you should know the answer by now. By crafting an experience that lives here and goes down here as they get better at it. Okay, notations are boring, so we did it in a competition manner. So you would have a PvP fight against somebody, and you all try to complete these notations, and whoever comes first wins the game. And the reaction of the playtester was hilarious, because they were 100% positive they know the notations, Hence, they failed completely trying to beat other people. And as they beat other people, they get money. With the money, they can fight even more experienced players, and they lose again. And they do it for like 20 or 30 minutes because it's really engaging. So they go up and down this scale all the time until they've internalized completely notations. And they can go back to the tutorial. Now, by actually solving one problem, we've created another. Now our tutorial was too automatic. People were just following orders. So we had to do something which is a little bit counterintuitive and slow the pace. So we slowed down the pace of the tutorial by breaking it down and asking players questions about what they were doing. Not only repeat instructions. And this proved well. The result was 90% of players that have engaged with the Scramble contest I just showed you have finished solving the cube tutorial. And 65 minutes is the average time, which is a very good timing considering YouTube, right? And this is Asaf. This is the first playtester who solved the cube in a little bit less than 2 hours. This grin in his face is telling me that we are not going to meet each other anytime soon. But I was really proud of this. This was a great moment. And the app is now released, and many reviews specifically address the tutorial. And we're really proud about this. We got a lot of 5 stars. Only the French give us 4. Now, I cannot read this, but I suspect that this has something to do with the fact that it's in English. So, what have we learned? We learned about this model and where experiences can live in this model. And each quadrant has slightly different experience. And I really want to stress out that when you're crafting experiences, try to think of them, how can they live in the model, and what supplementary quadrant can go with your core experience. And now I would like just to close the story I began with, to finish the story, because on that night, my little baby, she wasn't born. Apparently, my girlfriend did make it up. And no, she didn't, but it was like it didn't happen. It did happen a few days after. And this is my new child. Try your best to ignore what I'm wearing and focus on the child. And we are playing this game, and she is a part of it. And now my life as a father to 2 young babies, really, if I will use the model, which is applicable to my life as well, and most of the time it's fast and hard thinking. What do you do when one kid has a tantrum attack and the other is calling to the electricity? You have to act fast, and it's a hard decision to make who you want to say first. Albeit most of the time it's really fast and automatic thinking. I'm doing as I told. I go to the supermarket, I bring stuff, here are the diapers, I do this, and this is a nice place to be in. However, where I really want to be is here, playing walking simulators of other people's life. Thank you very much. Okay.
All right. Do we have questions in the audience? And let's see if we also have questions in here. Not yet. That's weird. Questions in the audience?
You can ask me about parenthood as well. Go ahead. You don't have to have kids. No, nobody asked. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
All right.
Yeah.
You sure? There's no questions in there? Yeah, there's one question here. You're too funny, Dory, that's why.
All right.
I just wanted to ask if you have a couple of examples for slow automatic thinking other than the gambling machine.
Yeah, all the idle games go in there, for sure. And I think it started with Championship Manager. This was the first game I was really hooked on. And I was amazed. I was like 14, and it's only text. And it works wonders. It's not so much interactive. But now we can see it, and we can have, like if you're playing FIFA, you have a whole aspect of the game is building the team and doing the transfers and raising players. And this is not a very interactive thing, and it really lies on the slow automatic. And of course, all the, beside idle games, all the social media that we use, Snapchat, Twitter, Facebook, they really live in this quadrant. kind of zombifying their users, not so many interactions, but more of a slot machine-esque experience when you roll, oh, here's something interesting, and then you do it again and again. I think the fourth quadrant, okay, it's not here anymore. The fourth quadrant, the slow automatic thinking, and the first hard thinking are where you can have most innovation. Right. Yeah.
Hang on.
When you showed the slow automatic thinking, I got the hint that you despise some of those things.
It's
right.
just my stage presence, I don't.
So I recently have been thinking a lot about the morality of choices for designers to come up these type of activities. You know, like, is Diablo a pure fun game? How much skin in a box is in that game, right? I mean, there's flow in Diablo, which you have to go to grow your characters, but there's a lot of skin in a box in that game. 3 out of my classmates dropped out of my high school and undergraduate school because I introduced Diablo to them. And their parents really hated me. Somehow I was able to immune to that, but, you know, like 2% of people are not as, you know, resistant towards, you know, gambling. Yeah. And so sometimes it makes me wonder, like, if Facebook's, you know, random fun videos that keep coming at a very fast pace, which is like really easy to be addicted to, do you think that is evil? And also, just like, if we are designing for players to engage in these 4 different frequencies, which one do you think is the most good? Ethical.
Oh, wow. Celia would take that.
Good luck. No, I'm out. Bye.
This is such a hard question. I can tell you, I was, before I ran my studio, I was a creative director for a company that has made very addictive games for kids. And we used to get emails from angry fathers. I was not one at the time, saying, please stop addicting my kids and such and such. And we were very proud of these emails, I gotta say. Because as designer, I really wanted to see the KPIs grow. And I really wanted my bosses to be content with my work. And I just don't see how it can happen otherwise in these companies. So if I think it's evil, I think, yeah, maybe, but we have to really be adamant of teaching these biases and these addictive patterns and dark patterns to people, that they may be able to really confront them.
I'm not asking you to defend your job. I'm simply asking you, out of all 4 quadrants, which one do you think is the most beneficial to the player?
For sure, the slow and hard thinking. This is why I love board games so much. It gets you in the flow, but it's no artificial flow. It's really, you get concentrated on the task at hand. You want to win the game, and that's where I like to live as a gamer.
What about the second?
The first and hard thinking?
Do you think it's better and more helpful than the fast automatic thinking? Which one is better?
Hang on, you need to repeat because...
Sorry, I'm just asking in terms of like all the practices, which one is the most beneficial to the player? And certainly the chess thinking, the planning, the scheming, the strategy building, that's very useful for your life, right? But the rest of the 3, how do you sort the order? Which one's more useful for life?
For life.
Yeah. I guess that's how I see as valuable for the player, right?
Yeah. I mean, because I think that every quadrant has its benefits. I mean, sometimes when you go back from work, you want to play Plants vs. Zombies and you want to put your mind in neutral, or your favorite idle game in a toilet break, and that's completely fine. I think that many games are toilet games, and that's their purpose, and that's okay. And that's okay, space apes. No, I'm kidding. But no, but that's a good thing. That's a good thing. That's because you play a game in the toilet. It doesn't mean that it's not as good as like big games, right? I'm a huge fan. So I don't think that there is like better quadrants, really. Yeah, if we are, let's take it outside. I'm sweating here. Oh my God.
Okay, let's cut it here. Thank you. Thank you, Dory,
Yes.
for this interesting Q&A.